Stuart Pink. Be more childish. Be more childish, Stuart Pink.
I am the master. That's what Jonathan, my 3-year-old son, used to say every time he climbed up a rock. He was invincible. He could do anything. Mr. Contest Master, fellow Toastmasters, toddlers don't need lessons in enthusiasm or imagination. Have you ever seen a motivational seminar for 3-year-olds? Of course not. In these recessionary times, there just isn't the consumer demand. But what happens to us as we grow up? That world-conquering 3-year-old suddenly finds himself sitting in a grey cubicle, filing papers and using none of his special powers. How can we rediscover our unique talents? We have to be more childish, because all children know that anything is possible if you use your imagination more. The education expert, Sir Ken Robinson, was talking about the pressures that we put on young children when they're entering kindergarten. And he noted that a 3-year-old is not half a 6-year-old. Well, sadly, when it comes to imagination and creativity, I would argue that an adult is not even half a 3-year-old. I mean, how many of you dodged a dinosaur on the way here today? I like to think I'm creative. I recently invented an ingenious excuse not to take my son to Old McDonald's, as he calls it. But instead of complaining, he said, "But Daddy, adults don't have ideas. Only children have ideas." Wow! How can a toddler have dismissed the imagination of every adult in the whole world? Is it because when he has show and tell at school, I'm embarrassed that out of all his toys, he wants to take in Snakey, a screwed up old shopping receipt? I once told his teacher we do have real toys at home. I feared her judgment more than I valued my son's creativity. Have you ever stopped yourself from putting forward an idea because you feared being judged by others? Anyhow, that's just a cheap replica. Speaking of trash, you've probably all seen the kid who prefers the cardboard box to the expensive toy that comes inside. And it's obvious why. The expensive toy has one function. But the cardboard box is an endless world of imagination and adventure. As adults, we're always told to think outside the box. But children do their thinking inside the box. So what's your inspiration? What's your cardboard box? Could you make it that grey cubicle at work? After all, if anything is possible, what would a childish workplace look like? Imagine if you could do what you want to do at work. Google created 20% time, where for 1 day a week, its employees could pursue their own projects. Surely, a childish workplace would have no dress code. Consider this, the suit in its modern form is 200 years old. Why are we still wearing it? Tie is even older. It dates back to a time when English settlers were colonising places that they called Massachusetts and Rhode Island. Isn't it time for something new? Fellow Toastmasters, I could go on. I think you've got my point. But I know what you're all thinking. Nice ideas, but you can't change the system. Whenever I say no to Jasmine, my 2-year-old daughter, she always says, "But Daddy, you're breaking my idea." love the imagery of that phrase. And she's right. Because saying no or having doubts is crushing creativity. But unlike us, kids know better. They persist with their independent ideas. Like the time Jonathan came to me with an urgent question. Daddy, does Batman like treasure? Think so. But I sensed the chance to change his mind with some wise words. Do you know what he likes even more than treasure? No? Justice. But Daddy, justice isn't as sparkly as treasure. Aren't you in awe of kids' independent minds? Picasso was. He said it took him 4 years to learn to paint like Raphael, but a lifetime to paint like a child, by which he meant painting without being judged or constrained by adult values. I started off by praising children's creativity, but if there's one thing you must take away from this, it's that imagination can conquer anything. Jonathan recently started fearing death. And then he came to me one morning and he said, "Don't worry, when you die, you go to Jupiter where there's all the chocolate you can eat." So be fun, be original, and be proud if someone calls you childish. Mr. Contest.